So I've been working as a software engineer here in Portugal for about 1.5 years. And in today's video, I want to tell you guys some key points during my career that helped me get a job at Critical TechWorks, a Portuguese company that builds software for the BMW Group. And throughout the video, I'm also going to give you guys a few lessons that may help you to get your first job as a junior software engineer. And of course, how to get the best out of your job offer. Always remember to filter the content that you see on social media. So if some of these lessons cannot be applied to your reality, to your environment, that's okay. You can go search for other creators, other content that may fit into your reality. So fasten your seatbelts and let's get started. I'm going to start by telling a little bit about my story. When I lived in Brazil, I lived in a tiny little town and I was never very financially gifted. Don't get me wrong, my parents were and they are very hard working, typical worker class that always fought for the well-being of the family. But we always had money issues, like most of the population does. My mom and my dad always fought for me and my sisters to have the best education possible. And you cannot really rely on public education in Brazil, so they actually had to pay for us to get to go to a good school. And private schools are expensive in Brazil, so they had to work their asses off. I'll beep that later. We almost never ate out. I think that I remember a lot of my parents say, no, we don't have money for that, or we don't have money for this. So like a normal middle class worker family. So after struggling for a lot of time and saving money for a whole year, my mom managed to get my family from Brazil to Portugal in 2018. And in 2019, I entered college here in Portugal, also in a little town called Viseu. During my high school in Brazil, we had the basic subjects like math, science, history, etc. But we also had informatics subjects like object-oriented programming, programming logic, and etc. So I kind of followed up to the same area when I went to college. However, the money problems, right? They're always there. My mom, as it is normal, was paying for my school tuition, and I never really liked that. So I started looking for a job. I started applying for jobs on LinkedIn and got rejected from most of them. I started losing hope because I spent 6 months trying and applying for jobs, and I didn't even get the chance to actually go to an interview and talk about my skills and showcase my skills in a technical interview, for example. Before that, I got my LinkedIn profile ready, read thousands of content about how to style a resume, and you name it. I did lots of stuff. I see a lot of people, junior software engineers, that get rejected from their interviews, or they don't even get an interview at all, and they feel actually frustrated about it, which is totally a common response, a common reaction. I mean, you have been studying, you have been putting effort to it, and it's so frustrating that no one gives you a chance, and that's how I felt as well. However, it's always good to have in mind that looking for a job, especially in software engineer field, is a full-time job. And it's more likely that at the beginning of your career, you will get more rejections than approvals. Even at some other points of your career, that may happen as well. And also a very important key point, depending on when you're watching this video, I'm recording on June 4th. It's a Sunday, 2023, and the market for juniors in software engineering field is really f***ed up. The tech market basically is extremely unstable. We have been suffering lots of layoffs in several companies like Microsoft, Google, and etc. So you also need to have that in mind. If you're looking for a job now, as for now, it's this year, it's not actually a good time for that. Not that you should stop looking, but have that in mind. So back to the story, I actually spent 6 months-ish trying to get a job and applying for jobs and going to interviews and getting rejected. And finally, after months, I actually got one. I got a job offer from a Portuguese consultant company. So finally, after months of searching and looking for a job, I finally got a job offer and I refused it. The main reason was that the payroll was not aligned with what I wanted. So after refusing, they reached out to me and they offered me they made me another offer. So we got into an agreement and I actually started working for this company. I worked there for 11 months. And we worked in several projects from Angular to React and other technologies. So after 10 months in this company, I actually started looking for a job again. I knew that I could do more, and I wanted to be more comfortable financially speaking. So I started to make a little bit more effort, and eventually I got that effort paid off because I got a job offer from this company that I'm in right now, which is the Critical Tech Works. Now let's get to the part where I tell you what I did in order to achieve these results. The first lesson comes across when you are preparing your portfolio. Okay, so I have here a few things that I noted. So search for technologies that are used in your field and that you may actually have at least a glance of it. For example, in my case, I started searching a lot for content like HTTP requests, JavaScript frameworks, accessibility, SEO, and the list goes on. And let's be honest, ChatGPT, just ask it and it will give you exactly what you need to know in order to study that subject. So the second lesson I have here is apply for roles even if you don't match all of the criteria. So even though you don't know, let's say one technology that is listed in the job description, apply for it anyway. Because not applying for a job just because you don't match like 2 or 3 criteria, that's not actually a very smart decision. Of course, like if it asks for 10 years experience and you're a junior, you're just getting started, you're not going to apply for that because not only you're going to waste the recruiter's time, but you're going to waste your time. So have that in mind. Always leave your LinkedIn profile updated, and this is very important. Feed your LinkedIn profile with the project you have worked on, and I'm assuming here that if you're a junior, you still have no professional experience. So if you're actually like trying to get into tech, trying to get into software development, and you actually want your first job, every project counts, okay? So if you think that, no, that's too basic, I'm not gonna put it there, put it anyways. Go and leave that clear that you made that project, okay? Now you have an interview. Okay, great. What do I need to know before I hop into that interview? So search for topics like how to ask for your salary, what to say in a job interview, how to answer the tell me about yourself question, how to communicate better. I am 100% that all of these research that I did before having my interview with the company I'm currently at helped me a lot. Okay, so it's important that you also invest in your technical skills. However, in my personal experience from people that I know and from happening to me, they are actually worth less if you don't work in your soft skills as well. And this is where most juniors, me included, because I am a junior software developer as well, okay, make mistakes. You can be the best in your field, but you at least have to know how to communicate, how to value yourself, how to explain your ideas, and etc. So that's a very important thing to have in mind. Now you got a job offer. Great. What do I do now? The fourth lesson comes in and says, always negotiate your salary. Once a recruiter receives a green light to hire you, they their main goal is to make you accept that offer. So they will make some effort to make you accept the offer. So let's say, for example, you give a range from 20K to 30K annually. You are looking to the 30K, and you know what the recruiter is looking? To the 20K. Buyers want to minimize the cost and sellers want to maximize the profit. It has always been like that since the world is the world. In my first job, in the case of my first job, as I mentioned, I had the privilege. I was a very privileged person because I actually got to refuse my job offer. I said, no, this is not actually what I want to make. I think that I can do more than that, and I actually refused it. I didn't know very much about salary negotiation at that time, so I actually refused it. Like, I could have just said no, I want to negotiate, but I refused it. So anyways, and I see a lot of people saying, but you're just getting started, you can't hope to make lots of money, you have to make sacrifices. In some parts I agree, in some parts I totally disagree, because basically most people don't know the amount of profit they actually bring to the company. And even though you're a junior software developer, you will eventually get into projects and you add value to the company. I mean, isn't that the point? So in my case, I would not give this advice. I would not tell the person to ask for less than they're hoping for just to get that first job offer. And of course, I'm here talking about a situation where, you know, it's not urgent. You don't need that money right away. Like, you're not starving. You don't have a family of 3 to feed. But if you do, if you're in the situation, that's a completely different thing. But if you have the amount of time, and if you can, you know, search for a job and actually take your time, I would never advise someone just because you're getting started to ask for lower than you actually expecting. And it's always good to do your market research. And when I say market research, I don't say go to Glassdoor or Indeed and find what the company is paying, because I actually did that, and the salary that was there and the salary I'm receiving right now is very different. I wouldn't rely on these websites totally. What would I do? I would do what I actually did. I went there and I asked people, so how much do you make in this company? I don't know, but that's so like inconvenient, like asking someone how much they make. Like, this is just, you know, this is not very a good piece of advice. And yes, I agree that it's not very comfortable. It's not, you know, but however, if you reach them with this goal of, you know, I'm doing a little market research, I'm trying to get my first job, I was wondering if you could tell me like a range of your pay grade, something like that. I'm sure people will understand. It's better if you know them, of course, but if you don't, try, you know, to get a conversation first, not just arriving and saying, so how much do you make in your current job? And of course, like I said, do your market research so you know how much you can ask, because you're not gonna, you know, get started and ask for 100K annually. Like, that's just insane. Have the value in your mind and search for content about it, how to negotiate your salary, how to ask for a higher salary. So my battery died where I was recording the video. Actually, not the battery, my storage. But however, I tried to stay during this video out of the obvious, you know, like build a portfolio and learn HTML and CSS. And I hope these lessons were valuable to you and you actually get what you're looking for, because I believe most software engineers know they're very good in their technical skills, but you also have to actually work on your soft skills as well. So promise me you're gonna do that. I hope you enjoyed today's video. So bye.